Is it an epic or epic failure? The Big Review. Movies, games, and TV in focus.
Pulse95.
Here's the thing. We're not saying that this is something that does not happen within the world of video games, but you cannot deny that a board game / card game hybrid in a video game is kind of a niche, and it just happens to be two of Mikail's interests, and he somehow found this game called Inscryption, and he's been kind of hyping it up since last week. We were gonna have the review last Thursday, but then we forgot that the day was off, and we are back here to talk all about it. And Mikail has been basically, even yesterday when we were done with the show, barely 2 minutes after we were done, I see him. He's already pulled up his laptop and he's back on the game. And I was like, when did that happen? We barely just logged out and left the room for Big House at Alice Schofield from Yalla Home. What is going on? And that is how much he is enjoying and is in love with this game.
Inscryption is so captivating. So what is Inscryption? Inscryption is a psychological horror card deck builder escape room puzzle game.
Wow.
It's a mouthful.
Lots of things.
And that's the best part about it, is that it takes a lot of elements from all sorts of very popular genres and creates a very deeply strategic and enjoyable card battle game experience. So, what is Inscryption all about? You play as a person who finds themselves trapped in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. The place is dimly lit. It's mostly dark. You can't really see things, but you can actually walk around the cabin and interact with certain items and objects. But across the room in the cabin, there's a table, and standing on the opposite side of the table is a mysterious stranger who will not let you leave the cabin, is actually forcing you to play an adventure role-playing game with him. And if you lose, you will unwillingly give him your soul.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I am so into this, right? And in the beginning, this is probably the first time I got introduced to what we call a CCG, a collectible card game. Something like similar to Magic or Hearthstone.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more streamlined. It's a lot more condensed. But there's still so much complexity in it. So you're given a deck of cards, and the cards are comprised of different kins of animals like wolves and insects and even submarine animals. And each of them have a certain amount of health, a certain amount of damage, even special effects. There's a whole appendix for some of the stuff that you have to try to memorize. And so the game is that you have to go through this sort of like roguelike adventure, right, where every scenario is procedurally generated, and then you go into battles using those cards, those animal cards, to try to beat the stranger. But slowly, as you try to push through the adventure, things get extremely bizarre, and some of that psychological horror element also comes in because the cards start talking to you and telling you you need to find a way to escape this place. Because apparently, it seems that there's been many victims who have unfortunately failed at winning against this role-playing game. And the mysterious stranger does this thing where whenever you get into a part of the adventure, he starts putting different masks and he starts role-playing. It's almost like he's a Dungeon and Dragon, Dungeon Master, something like that. And he narrates the entire adventure as you go along. And sometimes he almost breaks the rule when you feel like you're succeeding in a challenge or something where you're like, I just resolved that. He changes it up a bit. And it's like, oh no. So I love that it's constantly evolving in terms of challenge. It's scaling to as you learn how to use certain cards and how to exploit certain techniques. And he notices that. And just when you feel like you're getting good at the game, he does something so surprising, so devilishly clever. And so eventually, sooner or later, no matter what, the game is designed for you to fail as much as you try to push. But that's part of the game, and it's compared to Hades. Hades is a roguelike adventure where every time you die, you either die with new knowledge, new type of skills. You inherit you inherit sort of a new strategy, and in this game, every time you can always step out of the table from the card game and walk around the cabin, because the cabin has certain puzzles. You know, where if you talk to the right card or you find the right hint during the battle, you could actually solve these puzzles, and they will help you they'll get you closer to being able to escape this cabin. You know, and just when you feel like you're progressing, something's totally unexpected happens. So this game is so surprising. It is so atmospheric. It's deeply complex and also surprisingly strategic. And honestly, I've been playing it for hours straight, and it is an absolute blast. It takes the best parts of a roguelike, a card collectible game, an escape room puzzle game, and they put it all together for this phenomenal experience. So in my opinion, my final verdict for Inscryption is a solid 9 out of 10. This is one of the better indie games of this year.
Wow.
It's only available on Steam on PC, but I highly recommend, especially if you love card collectible games.
Yeah.
This is the kind of game you have to try out, because it really separates itself from everything out there. So again, check out Inscryption. Highly recommend it.
I think that we've been seeing a new trend, especially within the indie games and indie world, and that is the most successful and most surprisingly successful and popular games are the ones that are very intuitive, and that just shows you the new added layers of when those game developers, when they think of those games, it's not as streamlined as it gives off. I mean, like you said, Hades, Inscryption, they have a very basic goal, you could say, which is escape.
Yeah.
But how do you escape, and how complicated this escape is just what adds to that game and makes it more interesting and makes it, sets it apart from other games. This is Mikail's review of Inscryption. Like he said, it's available on Steam on PC, which means that I cannot play it, but that is okay. If you have a PC computer,
we're gonna make you play it.
I have no idea how you're going to do it unless you're going to buy me a PC setup. I don't know if you're capable of doing that. I mean,
we'll make it work.
Like, Mikail's not that far, but we are going to play it somehow.
I'm gonna find an old Chromebook that I have dusted out of the...
You think you can handle it?
It's a very simple, it's like, it can run on a potato, in my opinion.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
it's a very simple game. Doesn't use a lot of graphical performance. It has that CG inky style to it.
I did see, again, when I passed by you yesterday, you were very busy playing. I just passed by you, and it looked very interesting and very well made. Let's go on to BlizzardCon. BlizzCon 2022 is going to be canceled to prioritize supporting their team. Is it a gimmick, or are they actually sincere? Let's talk about it coming up next right here on the Afternoon Karak.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.